how much money did the elite, former elite, and BPT anglers make on the NPFL in 2025 versus the rest of the field? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. If you're new, my name is Steve Chapman. Did you wonder how much money the elite anglers or former elite anglers or BPT anglers made by joining the NPFL this season versus those other anglers who have been on in the league for the last 5 years? How well did those anglers do versus the rest of the field? Now, I looked at 26 anglers during this 2025 season. I included Tyler Williams in this. I did take him out. Tyler only fished 3 out of the 6 tournaments. But in those 3 tournaments, Tyler made $16,400. Now, entry fees for the NPFL are $5,200 each tournament. At the start of the season, they had 118 anglers. At the end, they had 104 anglers. And when I started doing the numbers, I went by what the NPFL put out there for their payout schedule for 2025. And to start off with, it was going to pay out down to 42nd place. Here at the end of the season, it paid out to 38th, I believe. And it was drastically different than what they put out at the beginning. Now, I want to read this. My numbers were slightly off because the boat numbers dropped and the payouts were adjusted for every tournament they had. And I went by what the league put out at the beginning of the season. And those are the numbers I used in this video. Now, if they had a perfect world where everyone fished all the events, these 118 anglers fished all 6 events, they would have had an entry fee of $3,681,000. When it was all said and done, they had 660 total entry fees for 2025, which brought in $3,432,000. Now again, they started with 118 anglers. At the end of the year, they had 104. They had 116 anglers in stage 1 and 2, 113 in 3, 109 in stage 4, 108 in stage 5, and when it was all said and done, they had 104 anglers for this last event on Logan Martin. Now here's the 25 anglers I kept track of during the year. Hackney, Walters, Welcher, Koopfel, Cherry, Cook, Lowen, LeHue, Swindle, Tucker, Queen, Cobb, Christie, Burge, Canterbury, Heron, Frederick, Cox, Upshaw, Gross, Suggs, Biffle, Atkins, Watson, and Logan. And 2025 brought in some of the biggest changes that we've ever seen in any league. That included forward-facing sonar and their absolutely brand new platform, which brought a better fan experience and better fan engagement. And their numbers on YouTube are very good. Compared to what they did the first 5 years, I probably would say they probably were 50 to 60% higher this season than the first 4 combined. So moving to that new platform was a brilliant idea. But the biggest thing that made the NPFL change in 2025 was that they scheduled their events around the elites, which allowed a lot of elite anglers to jump in. And that brought bigger names, more fans, and that really was the biggest change that they made in 2025. That alone elevated this tournament series. But how much money did those anglers make versus the rest of the field? Now, those total payouts for those 25 anglers, again, using what NPFL put out at the beginning of the year, was roughly about 23% of the field. And they made $1,508,900. Again, using what the NPFL put out at the beginning of the year. If they changed it and only told the anglers, I wouldn't know. And to be honest, I didn't know till I asked somebody after this last tournament. Those 25 anglers made 53% of the earnings, give or take. So the other 91 anglers at the beginning of the season And then the final tournament was 79 anglers, made $1,337,100. Again, using what the NPFL put out there, because I want to make that very clear. I did not know about the changes because the field dropped. How would I? I don't fish the tournaments. And I should mention, the NPFL doesn't put yearly earnings on their website like most other organizations do. And I really don't know why. I don't know if it's something they just don't feel like they should share or there's something else behind it. But I tried to get the numbers as correct as possible. Again, using what they said at the beginning of the year. And I realized they were slightly off when I talked to a good buddy and he said, your numbers are just a little bit off. And he mentioned they're off because the field size diminished during the season. They lost a bunch of anglers for many different reasons. And I can only go by what they put out. If there's changes that they don't want to mention to the public and only to the anglers during the season, then I can only do what I can do. And well, it is what it is. However, it's not being very transparent. Now, I'm going to do other videos comparing the elites and the BPT and the NPFL because we need to put the NPFL as one of the main organizations, especially after this season. It was a really fantastic season. It will be interesting to see how many anglers come back to the NPFL in 2026 because we are going to see some changes upcoming very soon for the pro circuit, which could change if anglers should fish the NPFL or fish the Major League Fishing pro circuit in 2026. Payouts are extremely important to these anglers. They don't want to go someplace and not make money. They're willing to gamble on themselves to cash a check. But at the same time, if the last place doesn't cover their expenses and their entry fee, that's the payouts, why are they going to join? And I know that this year I heard you needed to be in the top 30 at least to make some money on the NPFL. And they need to adjust their payouts as soon as possible. And hopefully they will. But this off season should be very interesting. And like I said, I have a couple more NPFL videos coming up that hopefully you guys will enjoy and watch. But what did you think? Are you surprised by the amount of money the elite, former elite, and BPT anglers made versus the rest of the field? Is it kind of crazy that 5 out of the 6 events were won by an elite angler, a current elite angler? What does that say about what's going on there? Do you think that the elite anglers are just that much better than the rest of the field? Is the field too soft? We've always said the bottom anglers are feeding the top anglers. But at what point do you say to yourself, I don't want to be fed. I want to do the eating. And it's hard to compete against some of these guys that are full-time anglers. Because being a full-time angler allows you to go around the country and fish full-time. And hone your skills. And learn patterns. And learn what they're biting. Versus someone like me. You can drop me off at Logan Martin. I might be able to catch 5 fish for 5 pounds. But I would stink. And maybe there's something there. But what did you think of this? Comment below and tell me what you think. Are you surprised by how much money these 25 anglers made versus the other 90? Or do you think, yeah, I knew this was going to happen? Drop me a comment and tell me what you think. Thanks to all the new subscribers and members and everyone who's interactive on the channel. I really do appreciate you. Thank you for all the love and kindness and just being part of the team and family. It is appreciated. But if you're not a subscriber, do me a favor. Click those 2 buttons, like and subscribe. And click that bell if you want to know when the next video drops. Remember, take a kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.